Hi, tribe. Welcome back. This is the Spilling the Tea Leaves podcast with Rachel and Michelle. We have been doing a few episodes now, and we are really excited for those of you who are joining us again and those of you who are new to talk about all things spiritual and what that means for those of us who are still living here on planet Earth and kind of getting through our day. So I'm Rachel. Hi, and I'm with my beautiful spiritual friend Michelle.
Hello.
Yeah, I am the cottage on Wolf Lane, an animal intuitive, work a lot with tarot cards, but predominantly animal spirit guides. I do have guides that come in other forms, but I work a lot with animal energy. I do readings. If you are in the Wellington, New Zealand area, you can drop in and see me. And I'm on Instagram at cottage on Wolf Lane.
I am Michelle. I am a crystal Reiki healer, and you can find me at Remember Love on Instagram. You can also find me at rememberlovehealing.com online. And today Rachel and I want to give you more of an in-depth look at um, at our lives and what we do. And this week or this episode, we are going to do a full interview on our very own animal intuitive, Rachel. Yay! So I put
Yay!
out a question on my Instagram on Remember Love of if you had the opportunity to ask an animal intuitive something, what would you ask? And I got some of the questions written down. So Rachel, if you're ready.
I am. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. I'm ready.
Don't be nervous. We got this. All right. So prior to all of this new age, spirituality, good juju, bad juju, what did you do in your normal life? Or as I like to refer to in your past life? What would you go to what did you do to school? What was your career? Like tell us a little more of who Rachel was pre all this.
I like to tell people that I can totally pass for normal. Yes, I still am pretty normal in a lot of respects, but I came from a really white bready, lovely but boring family. Grew up in the Midwestern United States. Um, like mom and dad, and then me, and then I had a brother, and yeah, it was super boring and lovely, but like normal and nothing really exciting there. I mean, I've always felt connected to animals and spirits even throughout that time, but in terms of my upbringing, there's nothing really exciting there. I went to college or university in Ohio, majored in English and philosophy, and again, lovely, fun, pretty boring. Philosophy, I mean, there was a lot during that time, I suppose, that kind of opened me up spiritually. I had been brought up church every Sunday, Lutheran, not spiritual, but very consistent in my
Okay.
in my worship. It was just sort of what was expected. I connected musically to worship, and I certainly now can appreciate the sense of regularity and using music and water to cleanse and connect. But it wasn't, growing up Lutheran was not a spiritual practice for me. So in college, a lot of that sort of fell away, I suppose, because I was away from home and had the opportunity to, through my major and through meeting other people, to explore. But again, nothing particularly, I mean, like super white bread liberal arts college in Ohio. Like really very boring. I did get a master's degree in English literature in England.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
I
less
didn't know
boring.
that. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay. I
So
didn't know
way
that.
like more exciting, less boring, but still not very spiritual, at least at the time. Now, living in England, I do feel there was a lot to connect with there as far as spirits go. It was definitely one of the
Okay.
more haunted places I've lived. I've lived in a few places, and there were a lot of animals there, and that was I had a really strong relationship with the cat that I met there. But yeah, I was totally, in terms of like my education, yes, privileged, but fairly normal. And like, I don't mean normal like common. I mean normal like not very mention worthy. I mean, like, I was a kid getting a degree in English lit. And then I went into human resources because I tripped and fell and landed in HR. And I did the HR thing for a while, man. Like, human resources was my jam, and I was there, and I got promoted, and I was an HR manager, and then I moved to Arizona, another very spiritual place, especially if you can get up to Sedona. Um, but still nothing particularly special or spiritual about it. It's not so much to me where you come from, or like some people talk about the term. I don't know if those of you who are listening are familiar with the term hereditary witch. There are a lot of people who have sort of born into traditions, whether it's religious, spiritual, um, types of traditions, where connection and spirituality are passed down. I did not have that. Like, so there's no,
Okay.
so all of my spiritual connection just kind of happened. I don't want to say in spite of my background or upbringing, but yeah, I mean, like, really nothing noteworthy about where I'm from, where I went to school, yeah. And
Normal person.
I am like,
In quotation, whatever normal is.
right, but right, like, but not not normal in that, like, there's nothing really normal about that, but it's also like there was nothing, nothing outstanding one way or the other. Just a person who was
Okay.
who was exploring her life, and I've met a fair amount of people, and Michelle, I think you too fall into this camp where a lot of us who are spiritual are just kind of out there and willing to try a lot of different things. So after human resources, I loved HR because I do love connecting with people. No matter
Yeah.
what realm you're in, I like connecting, and so human resources was great in that way. Professionally, it wasn't where I wanted to be, so I did end up going into more coaching and training and development. So I actually worked with people directly as clients, and then worked with other corporations. And then I moved overseas and had a couple kids, like, back to back. Um, yeah, motherhood is a whole nother spiritual thing. But yeah, I mean, but now and I joke, I'm a stay-at-home witch. But I feel like a lot of people who are empathic and spiritual and are able to connect also do so in their lives. And I feel like I've lived in a few different places, and I like to meet all different kinds of people, and I like to try all different kinds of things. And I find that my desire for collecting experience is what has allowed me to open up and welcome in spirit in a way that kind of transcends the total unremarkableness of my background and upbringing. Um,
Okay. Do
yeah.
you think, as a side, do you think that becoming a mom, for example, I know all of our listeners are regular people, and a lot of us are moms. Do you think becoming a mom changed the way you practice, or changed the way you connect, or changed the way you work your intuition, I guess? Do you think that's changed in any way since becoming a mom?
There was definitely a time when my kids were young. I have two kids, and they're only about a year in age uh, apart. So it was a little crazy there for a while. And I did not, in those early days, just out of sheer somebody needs feeding, somebody needs changing, we've had a diaper blowout. Like, you don't get
The
to connect.
survival.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like there's simply not as much connection time during those times. So it gave me a greater appreciation for seasonality in my practice over balance. There was a time in my life where I was really attached to this idea of balance, where every day was going, like, and I'm going to do yoga and I'm going to connect and and when my kids were young and I was in this place where I just didn't have that kind of time, frankly. I stumbled upon the verse in the Bible. I believe it's Ecclesiastes. I forget the numbers, and it's the song, there is a season, turn and turn and turn, and it's not about having balance every day. It's about, you know what, right now is the season for this. Right now I'm in this, and it does not feel very spiritual, and I'm sleep deprived, and we've had another diaper blowout or whatever. But sorry, I keep mentioning that. That's just it gets seared in your brain as a as
I
a
know
as a
it
young
does. It's
mother.
scary. Yeah.
um, you
It's
know,
a scary thought. Yeah.
so for me, especially when my kids were young, it really helped me. And I think now I have a much more robust appreciation for the cycle of the moon, the cycle of the seasons, my own body's need for rest. Because there was a time where, especially for those of us who are women, trying to power through my monthly cycle, like, I'm just going to take a Midol and like make it happen. And it's like, no, there are times where you just need to hunker down, and there will be no makeup, and it will there where showers will be a luxury. And that has really informed my gentleness with myself and my greater ability to honor
Yeah.
the ebbs and the flows and the seasonality of not just my practice but of life. So that's what motherhood's done a lot of things for me as a spiritual person. But that has to be, I think, the most um, impactful aspect of it, because it's not
Okay.
about you anymore. It's about you, and also attending to the, to be a spiritual steward now for these two little people. Now that they're getting older, I have a 7-year-old and a nearly 6-year-old. They have questions, and they are awesome questions, and it feels really, I mean, it's such a privilege to be able to help them ask the right questions, and give them what I think my answers are, and invite them to figure out their own answers. And it's that so that's been really wild too, is to appreciate the beauty of being the steward and the Sherpa for these little beings, um
Mhm.
path. Yeah,
I
it's
like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ready for your next question?
I am,
All
yes.
right. So a little, moving a little bit away. What are some of the daily rituals that you do to connect with your, um, with spirit, with your animal guides? Like, what are your daily rituals that you do to just get into that realm?
One thing that I do every day, and again, I have to, as a mother and as a human being on this planet in this incarnation, I've gotten a lot better about letting go. Like, I like to sit down in the morning and do this in front of my altar. I do have an altar, and I tend to my altar. Michelle was actually making fun of me a little bit earlier this week because here in the Southern Hemisphere, it's fall, and I've been adding a lot of, frankly, dead things that I
That's
find dead dead things. So I've been collecting leaves and uh, dead bumblebees, and I mean, like, like, it's right now, the days are getting shorter, and um and I'm tending. So I like to really just curate my altar, and I have, different crystals depending on how I'm feeling in any given season, or sometimes on any given day. Again, it kind of depends. But yeah, I just added an oak leaf to my this really like red oak leaf to my altar. So at some point during every day, whether it's in the morning or whether it's after I get the kids to school, or sometimes it's like for 10 seconds before I like fall into bed exhausted, I sit in front of my altar and I light a candle, and I just check in. And sometimes I'm in need of guidance or assistance. Sometimes it's just a, hey, thanks for being with me today, spirits. I am appreciative of you. We didn't get a chance to chat today, but I I want you to know I saw the angel numbers, and I saw that spider when I was walking to the grocery store, and I'm with you, and thank you. And it can be something as simple as that. So every day I make sure, and I keep looking over to it. But for those of us who can't see,
You're
it's
not on
again,
the YouTube channel. What are you
no, right.
doing?
And but again, it changes. And I've mentioned too my devotion to cycles. And I'm, it changes seasonally, and then, kind of depending on what I'm feeling. And so I really like to just tune in, and that's also where I do my tarot, or power, deck, oracle deck drawings. Sometimes my kids will come over, and my daughter especially likes to like rifle through, and um, most of my decks are animal focused, and I have several different decks, oracle decks, tarot decks, and so we like, sometimes I'll do it with my kids, sometimes I'll do a tarot pull for me. But whatever it is, every day at some point I check in at the altar, and I just say hi, and sometimes I might need more of an in-depth conversation. However, a lot of times, I feel like I'm kind of connected all the time. Like, I actually had a conversation with spirit on the way home. Like, I dropped the kids off at school this morning, and I was walking home, and I had a chat. I mean, it was like spirit, well, because I was wondering about uh, kind of how to be gratitude even when you don't feel positive. I've been kind of like feeling that's been a topic I've been chewing on for a little bit, like feeling grateful even when you don't feel positive. And so anyway, and spirit just kind of, I don't know, and it was just like, oh, okay, we're chatting now, cool. Like, um and then the other thing that I do 100,000% all the time, every day, all day, is I'm just really attuned to all the little critters around me. If there is a bug, I will find it. If there is a bird, I will hear it. If there is a spider, I'll notice it. And that to me is a kind of constant connection that I just feel really grateful for. And so again, it's like when I sit down in front of my altar, sometimes there's a message, and sometimes it's just a hello from the universe. And either way, it's awesome. So that's my daily practice. Is I sit in front of the altar, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes 10 seconds. Sometimes the
Yeah.
connection is bigger, sometimes it's a, hey, I'm here, I'll chat with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then for me, just really being tuned in to not just nature, but really specifically all the living things around me, and just saying hi.
So on a daily basis, you see angel numbers, you see animals, and you do use your Oracle tarot cards
Yes.
to
Yeah.
connect. Okay.
Yeah. I
Do you
also,
recommend that everybody look constantly for those little messages? Like, are you, because I know a lot of people just focus on like one thing. They just focus on the angel numbers, or they're just focused on whatever animal that they see repetitively.
Yes, I do think that there's sort of no wrong answer. If there's something that you're particularly drawn to at any point on your path, that's where that's where you're being called to focus your attention. Yes, certainly. If you keep seeing the number 777, there, you might want to dig into that. If you keep having, on a personal note, cockroaches coming in the back door because it's getting colder and they want to come in and say hi, like, all right, cockroaches, lay it on me. I'm here. I'm ready. In you come. Like, um, so it's, yes, I do think that repetition is an invitation for us to put our attention and intention on that particular topic. However, if you are just interested in something, crystals or different oracle decks, whatever that calling is in it, that's the invitation too. So and I find that the more I focus on something, the more it comes, and the easier it comes, and the more open I am to spirit without expectation. I think that's something we should
That's a
clarify
huge
as well.
thing. Yeah,
Right. I mean,
that's a
like,
huge thing.
yes. So it's, because it's a two-way dialogue. It's not like, okay, well, I'm totally into spirit animals, but only the cute ones. Like, that's not, like, I'm all about like the big ticket, like the lions and the, I mean, like, one of my sort of longer term guides is a wolf. Like, yeah, that's a cool guide to have. But when I tell people that, like, dude, cockroach has been speaking to me recently, that's not as, uh, like,
Yeah.
that's one of the harder spiritual paths to kind of sell people on. So I will say, follow follow the messages, follow the invitations, follow your intuition, but be really gentle with your expectations as to what you might find when you get there, because your spirit animal might be a cockroach.
So that's actually one of the questions. We're at the halfway mark real quick. We're what I assume is going to be the halfway mark. This might be actually a little longer. So we're going to take a pause right now, and when we return, we are going to talk about cockroaches. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. And
Hello.
we're going to talk about cockroaches. Well,
For those of you who can't see, I wish to convey to you the uncomfortable look on Michelle's face as we delve into the less popular spirit animal realm. And it's not just about less popular animal. Like,
definitely
Michelle
less
also
popular.
has Michelle also has an aversion to birds, but these poor birds keep trying to connect with her, and it like to like absurd levels, like to where she sees non-indigenous species. She's like, Rachel, I just saw not a cockroach, peacock. See, I'm on, yeah, like, oh yeah, I'm at the grocery store and there was a peacock, and it's like, of course there was, because birds. So
What was the cockatiel that was on the speed bump on my way to the house? Like just dead in the middle. I'm like, not dead, like AF in the middle. Um, just like standing in the middle of the speed bump, and I can't get around the bird because the bird just will not fly away. And I'm like, what? I took a picture of it for Rachel. I'm like, it's 7 in the morning. It is way too early for messages. I don't know who you need to talk to, but they need to stop. And I keep seeing those birds, the birds at the school that we like came down and was eating from our hand, and Rachel ended up rescuing it and taking it to the vet. Those birds keep appearing all over my daughter's school to the point where I'm getting in the car and they're just squawking. They're pooping on me now, which I know is a sign of good luck. I appreciated them not pooping on my white top, but fine. I'll take it, Rachel.
yeah, it's spirit animals are th- they are animals, and they have different um filters in a way. Human,
Okay.
especially humans, when you're working even with spirits, there's that kind of humanity filter that you have, so that you can kind of connect in. Hang on, my one of my kids is looking at me. So you can connect in a way that you're more used to, having
Okay.
incarnated here as a person. But with animals, they are much different than we are, and that energy can be really refreshing, and it can also be challenging because it is so foreign.
Or invasive, I feel like, no?
Yes, yes,
Is
I
that
mean,
the
yeah,
word? When they're so
I mean,
intrusive, like, we're here and we need to give you this message and we're not going until this message is delivered. I don't know what my message is still, but I'm waiting.
yes, sometimes and animals don't speak always in a language that is easy for us to, well, and I mean, I would say that sometimes of spirit. It's like,
Yeah.
like when I'm Googling, like, okay, angel number 111, like, oh God, like, why do I keep seeing this number? What does this mean? Like, so it's not
Yes.
just, and I mean, a lot of, there's a lot of, well, we'll talk about sacred geometry and other ways that messages can be sort of filtered, and spirituality can manifest. But with animals, you do have to let go of a lot of left brain, linguistic, numeric, human stuff that has been layered on us, and kind of be willing to meet with that spirit message on its own terms, especially if it's a creature with whom you don't naturally vibe. That gives you the creeps. One of my long-term guides is Spider, and I love spiders, especially the little cute ones. But I wrestle with the bigger, juicier ones. We have a big spider who lives outside the house, and I keep seeing her web, but I had not yet seen her until about 2 nights ago. And Michelle and listeners, I can't impart to you how robust this thing is. She's a beast, man. She is a big fat girl, and she's out there. She's trying keep it. She needs to eat more cockroaches, but she's keeping anyway. But she's, like, even as I was watching her through the window, and she lives in a hole in our window pane, and like and I'm a little scared of her, and she's a little manifestation of the bigger spirit that is a spider guide. But they help me work through fear. I mean, they show up a lot of times, and I am reminded, like, still have some fear to unpack. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So some of those darker messages, or like, I was joking earlier, but I mentioned the weather's cooling down here, and we do have a lot of cockroaches coming in the back door. In fact, um, two cockroaches fell on my head when I opened the front door the other day, because
That's,
they're getting like in the door because it's
oh
warm, and
my
they
goodness, this is
so
horrible.
so once they fell on, like, okay, coming in, that was easy to kind of like blame on the weather, and now they're like falling from the sky onto me, and I'm like, okay, here I am. I'm with it. I'm ready. um I'm ready.
So
And
what message do you have to those people who cockroaches are not the cutest, or
no, and
everybody wants the, like, the butterflies and the big protective wolf and the bear and the lion, but that's not everybody's message. The message, the animal is not always the popular archetypes of
no.
or ideas of what spirit animals are. Like, how do we embrace? Some people have a fear of spiders, but their
Yeah.
message is their messenger is the spider. Like, how do you make that connection, or how do you advise people to make that connection instead of running away? I mean, even on and I think, sorry, and this is an unpopular opinion, you guys can shoot me for it, but when there are pictures of, if you're on Reddit, if there's a picture of a spider, there's a warning of a picture of a spider, and I'm like, just, there's, these animals exist. If I'm deathly afraid of a shark, nobody puts a warning of the shark before the picture, but spider has become almost villainized to the point where there are warnings prior to showing a picture of a spider, which I think is so ridiculous. And I'm sorry if you guys are afraid of spider. I understand. I'm talking about the labeling of said animal. Like, sorry, trigger warning, there's a spider in this post. Well, you know,
I don't know what everyone's spiritual path has been like. Mine has not been particularly rainbows and sunshine. In fact,
yeah.
I would say the opposite. I think that spirituality for me is being willing to look at the dark stuff, being willing to look at the lotus flowers that are growing in the muck and the swamp, and acknowledging that there is no light if there's no darkness, and the spirit guides that may come to you that are scarier or undesirable. Or for instance, bobcat. I don't really know anyone who has anything against bobcats. However, I had it. So, so bobcat is a fairly, like, it's just sort of a non-entity. Like, oh yeah, bobcat. Okay, fine. I had a,
Yeah.
right. Okay. Yeah. Bobcat. I had a dream a week or two ago in which a bobcat bit me. It was a scary dream. When an animal, whether it's especially if it's in real life, if you have an animal that has bitten you, that is a big call to pay attention, especially if there's fear around it. A lot of my spiritual work has been not rainbows and not just connecting and, oh, this is amazing and this feels great. It's more like, how am I going to get through this? What does this mean? Why are we here? I'm wrestling with some scary stuff right now. Help me through. And you know who helps me through is Spider. And she comes and she has messages of, when your web gets torn down, build it again. And Spider has messages like 50% of your prey is going to get away. For most spiders, they have a less than 50% success rate of actually catching, like, be persistent. A spider comes to me and it's like, you know what? It doesn't matter what people think of you, you do you. Because there are so many people who are scared of spiders, and spiders are still doing their thing, and they're doing it beautifully. And the message of creation, I mean, spiders, the tensile strength of spider web is beyond anything that a human being has been able to create. And those are the messages, even though I'm scared of most spiders, those are the messages that she brings to me. Oh, I'm getting a little
I
teary
see
here. Like,
that.
and it's because walking this spiritual path is, life here isn't always easy, and it's not always fun. Um and those animals or creatures that come to you, for instance, with the cockroaches, I won't go into too much of it, but suffice it to say, um, my family watches out for illness quite a bit. We have some health issues in my family, and we are on higher alert than a lot of families with regards to contagious, communicable, like germs and stuff. Cockroaches are seen as disease carriers and unclean, and I've been really trying to open myself up to these little sweethearts who keep just wanting to get warm and come in my house, and really trying to remember that, um, we live here on Earth with germs and with disease. And yeah, there are, we're having some measles outbreaks, and there's a lot of debate around vaccinations and et cetera. And I don't want cockroaches in my house. I don't really like them falling on my head. But they are helping to remind me that they are here and they're part of this experience, and being afraid or grossed out isn't serving me either. And they're really helping me breathe more deeply and be vulnerable and be open and trust, I guess. And so that's what I have to say about that in the immortal words of Forrest Gump.
Man, now I love the cockroaches.
Yeah,
And the
it's
spiders.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, they can, the things, the darker things, whether it's spirit animals or whether it's shadow work, that's where a lot of the big ticket spiritual stuff is. I did a tarot poll yesterday for myself and I pulled the dung beetle. um
Yeah.
which is not a glamorous, nobody really wants a dung beetle either, but it reminded me so strongly of a message that I'd received from spirit prior, like, I don't know, 6 or so months ago. And the message was, Rachel, it doesn't matter if what you have in front of you is gold or shit, because you're an alchemist. You can, we as spiritual people are on this path, and we are taking what's in front of us and using it to grow and to connect and to bring other people in the fold with us, so that they can open and connect and grow and open their hearts, and that's what I get. It's, yeah, like a lot of my guide work is with all kinds of animals, but a lot of times it's the darker, scarier ones that really give me the juicy messages, give me the juicy work to do.
Yeah. Okay. That goes into play a lot with the shadow work, which many of us, myself included, are not sometimes might not be comfortable with. And I think it does play a lot into a podcast or an episode that Rachel and I are planning to do in a couple of weeks about toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing. And I think it's really important, especially in the New Age community, to talk about that. And it
Yeah.
kind of goes. I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
Well, I was going to say, just so we're all on the same page. So shadow work is really looking at those aspects of yourself
Mm-hmm.
and more broadly your life that are not to your liking. It is awesome to work with your strengths and to focus on everything that is going well and good, but there are parts of ourselves that have been neglected, ignored, and those aspects can often kind of manifest or rear their ugly heads in ways that'll really bite you if you're not aware
Literally, I
and
figured it.
right. um and then the flip side of that, like Michelle mentioned, we'll talk much more about this, just soon, is this idea that you just totally cage those beasts. And okay, well, I'm going to lock you in the basement, and like, I'm just going to stuff that down, or eat enough cupcakes that you just won't ever come up, and only who else, right?
Yeah,
And like,
you
hypothetically,
know,
um,
I have no idea what to talk
and
about.
and only focus on the good stuff and the love and the light and the rainbows, and like, that's A, that's not authentic. B,
True.
trust me when I tell you that stuff is going to come and get you, and you're going to have cockroaches falling on your head, reminding you that the scary stuff is out there. Y'all need to, like, get in the place
Deal with
where
it.
you are. Right. I mean, like, this is where we are, and let's work on this together. Um,
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, anyway,
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're all on
No,
the
no,
same
yeah, yeah,
page.
yeah. Yes. Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. All right, so two more questions because I don't know, I like talking to you, like time flies. All right, so quickly before we get into this heavy-heated question at the end that either y'all are going to hate us or love us, or either, whatever. One of the questions that I got was, can we connect with pets that have passed, and are they with us now?
Ah, I think they are. I have felt them in a variety of different ways, and there are different ways that you can do this. I believe that some pets are just derpy little pets. I mean, like I've had pets that were really lovable, but that weren't really like, I didn't feel as much of a spiritual connection. It was just like nice to have them around. There, however, have been pets that have 1000% been a spirit guide, totally manifested here in my life to help me with something. And then when that path for them was done, they went on to their next adventure. There are lots of different ways that you can connect with pets that have passed. One is to simply get in a quiet place and ask. I mean, every time you remember them, really, you're connecting. But if there's a specific message that you're looking to have from them, or really just feel that connection, I think the best way to do that would be to do things that invite them in, so open that connection, let them know that you would love to just be with them again and feel them and receive anything that they have for you. But another way that can really open up those connections is to do things that honor them. So if you have pictures of them and they're not framed, maybe get them framed and just like put them where you're going to see them every day. If you have your pet's remains, put them in a place, put them by your bed. You can, we actually had, there are websites, you can have stuffed animals made of your pets, living or past. And we have
Yeah.
we have stuffed animals that have been made of a few of our particularly noteworthy pets. Um, and some nights when I need to really feel Martha, for instance, I have her stuffed animal and I cuddle with her, and you can I at me if you don't feel it. like
Send me a
like
DM. I'll fight you.
trust me when I tell you, like, you'll feel them. You'll feel them when you want them to be there, and especially if you're able, and if it's not a stuffed animal, like put their picture under your pillow and just like go to sleep and invite them back into your bed or whatever, and they'll be there. They'll be there.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go find a picture of my dog Benji now, and then cuddle with my two living doggies. Because they are special too. And then the last question, ready,
Us.
is what's a trend within the New Age spiritual community that you love? And then what's a trend that you hate is a very strong word, but dislike? I think we
Okay.
touched a little bit. Mm-hmm.
A trend that I've seen in the last few years that I love is the democratization, I guess, of spirituality. And some people have a problem with it because what I'm talking about is all the Insta accounts that are sort of like witchy tips. Oh my gosh, witchy tips on Insta. Love, no, I do. I love it because it's like, especially if you're new to spirituality and you want to learn more about um, pagan practices, or what different types of witchcraft, or like what witch am I, like, especially if you right now feel very strongly pulled to labels and to ideas about practices. The platforms that we have now, Instagram, Facebook, even like Reddit, there are some great communities on Reddit, and there is so much information that is available to people that allows everyone to dip their toes in a way that's really not threatening, and for the most part what I've found is very accessible and welcoming, and I really love that. So witchy tips on Instagram. It's amazing because it goes into a lot of detail at a very broad and digestible level, like what kind of witch am I, and here are the different pagan festivals, and here are ideas on how to decorate your altar for Beltane, which is a pagan festival, right? So it's there's so much now that is available. Instagram, Reddit has some great communities, and it makes it so, I find, welcoming and accessible and fun for people who are looking to expand their practice or who are new to these kind of topics. And it's really, like, honestly, it's fun and it's lovely. And this platform that we have is like social media. That is definitely my favorite aspect of spirituality as of late, is that there's so much out there that you can connect in a really non-committal, non-threatening, you're in your bedroom late at night, okay, I'm going to look up, yeah, like, and it's awesome. And I love that people can just dive in and get as
At
much or
their
as
own
little.
pace.
Yes, like, okay,
Their
I'm in the rabbit hole. Yes, let's do this. Or like, hey, my bus is going to be here in 2 minutes. Let me just quickly, cool. Okay, I'm a green witch, like, whatever. And I love that. Um, One thing that I have noticed, and actually it's mostly on Insta, and this is the aspect of spirituality that I find disheartening, I think is the word I'd like to use, is the positivity washing of this path. And I love salt lamps and rose quartz and I don't know, like laying in a field full of tulips. I mean, like okay, picture exactly what you would picture on like a
Yeah.
wishy-washy like Insta account that doesn't. Again, we talked a lot about shadow work and spiders and cockroaches, and I get you're not going to get the same amount of followers if you're posting the big ticket, scary spiritual stuff. And that's not necessarily the platform you'd be posting those things on anyway. However, I do find that, and there's a term that I love that I came across recently, that is toxic positivity. And you can't, whether it's in life or your spiritual path, you're in for a world of hurt if you focus exclusively on that which is fluffy and light and easy to digest. That's just not what this path is about. A lot of this path is about setting up boundaries and protecting yourself. It's about cutting the stuff out of your life that doesn't serve you, even if it's painful, even if that person has been with you for 17 years and you wake up in a cold sweat and like, oh crap, man, this is not cutting it anymore. And and that's these are the scary things that are hard to talk about. And a lot of what I see, especially on Instagram, and I get that it's all engineered reality anyway, but it's disingenuous to ignore the harder conversations and the darker aspects of life here on planet Earth. And I find that the spiritual positivity washing again, it's just it makes it continues to make the difficult parts of this path kind of more difficult, because then our expectations are skewed. And um
It's
yeah,
like a
I
Disney story, or like a Disney love story. You're
yes,
like, where's the story? But it's not. That's not what it is. You know.
yes. It yeah, it's a bit, it's a bit more, I don't even want to say darker. What I want to say is nuanced. It's not that it's not that the beautiful positive love and light stuff isn't out there. It is, like, but yes, that's just not the full story. I mean, you're getting like 22% of
Yeah.
the experience. And like with shadow work, you like, I'm about like radical acceptance. Like, you know what, I'm all in. Like, let's bring it all in. Like, and a lot of the a lot of the things that I see recently just are unwilling to like to go there, for lack of for lack of a more articulate way
Well,
to
yeah,
put it.
I feel like if you tell people, and I'm saying that from my personal experience, I have a pretty decent following. But if I do write something like, "Oh God, today was a really rough day. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff right now. I'm trying to get clear guide, whatever, something that is just not positive
Hmm.
or it does not get as many likes as if I write a beautiful positive message or write something about court or salt lamps or anything. So I can see how even the way social media is set up to not um, like not reward but not share that as it should be shared. The algorithm at Instagram is not set up to share the darker stuff or stuff that people just don't want to hear about or they prefer, or like you said, the toxic positivity. It's not set up for any other purpose than just to show the pretty side or the Photoshop side or the, I mean, even if you post a selfie with no makeup on and say this is me, you're not
Oh,
going to get as many likes as the girl that Photoshop or airbrushed her face that she's no longer recognizable as human. And then I think, and you're right, I think unfortunately, um, not only is it not as shared as much because we don't see the response that we would like to see or the exposure, but a lot of people just don't want to know that it's there, that it's sometimes there are things that we have to deal with that we don't want to. And even when you post, I like to post memes, and sometimes they're a little bit tongue in cheek, like spirit guides losing their minds because I've done something for the 30,000th time that I wasn't supposed to do. And people take their time to respond to me and tell me, your spirit guides are only full of love and they only want what's best for you. I'm offended by this. I'm like, for real? It's a joke. It's a meme. One time I posted a picture of, oh, it was a picture of a very popular Hispanic or Spanish speaking psychic, Walter Mercado, if you guys know who that is, right? And the what it said was me promising my friends not to get spiritual, and then after 4 or 5 shots, and then it's him like arms open and advising everybody. And I got so much hate for that one picture. Many people loved it. I'm not saying people completely hated, but I got so many people writing, spiritual people don't drink,
oh,
Reiki practitioners don't drink. Those in the New Age community don't drink or shouldn't be drinking. And I'm like, are you? First off, it's a joke. I am not Walter Mercado. I mean, let's start off with that one. Two, I swear, I'm like, if yeah, people do drink. Like, why are you imposing these rules on me? And see, it's a joke. It's a picture on Instagram meant to be funny, meant to make light of something that is usually pretty serious, like talking about spirituality. Why? What is? Anyways, I overtook your thing, but yeah,
no.
it's unfortunately it's not it there's such division within the spirituality New Age community that is to our own detriment instead of bringing people to the fold. Like you said, it is there's things that are being set out there to tear us apart, and we have to be extremely mindful of stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not easy putting yourself out there, and
Right.
it becomes increasingly difficult when people feel the need to, and they're triggered, or they feel whatever emotional response, and then they feel the need then to share it with you, and offload some of that emotional response, and it's a denial, this inability to hold space for what may trigger you. And again, I'm not saying that we should all talk about awful stuff all day, but I'm saying that
No.
here in this life, to be able to hold space for things that worry you or scare you or trigger you is a spiritual practice. It's not, you cannot separate the things that you can't, there's it's all spiritual. This is all, I mean, we're all of this is connected. And this goes back a bit to when I was discussing earlier my experience with being a young mother. Yes, I may not have had as much time during that portion of my life to sit in front of my altar and connect for an hour a day. That does not negate the immense spirituality and transformative experience that I went through. And embracing your dharma. And I mean, there's so many different ideas about what the purpose of these darker feelings and darker spaces is. But regardless, being able to sit with it and be uncomfortable and still trust and still connect, or trust that you'll be able to connect later. I mean, that's partly what we're here to learn, because it's not all nice out there all the time, I'm sad to say.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no, they're sparkly and pretty.
But that is why we radiate our own light. That's why that's one of the reasons I felt so happy and privileged to be able to work on this podcast with Michelle, is because I honor the crap in you, and I hope you honor the crap in me. And I don't need anybody to be anything other than their messy selves. And I just want to be messy with everybody, and from that place grow our lotus flower and radiate the love. And that to me is where the goodness comes from, is acknowledging all this murky, messy stuff, letting it be, saying, you know what, I feel that's hard, this sucks, I'm going to hold your hand, and we're going to walk together, and
have a good cry session if we need to.
Right. And we're going to, yeah.
I like,
and it's going to,
yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, yeah. Well, I think this is a good spot to end. What do you think?
Yeah, my cat's scratching on the. Come here.
Yeah.
You're on camera now. See.
Rachel's that one? I can't keep track of them. Rachel has like 10 cats in her house, and I lost track of all their names. For like 6 months, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what your cat's names are.
If I start naming cockroaches, you are in trouble.
Oh my God. No. All right. Well, everybody, this is the end of episode 5.
I don't know, man. I lost track.
Whatever. Sorry, I think it's episode 5. We'll do better next time at having a prettier ending. But our website is up for those who have been asking. Spillingthetealeaves.com. Yay! It gives you the link to most of where you can find our podcast. It also gives you an updated video of our most recent podcast. So right now, episode 4 is up, protecting your energetic space. And you can also find us on Twitter, and we are at Spilling Leaves. And you can find us at Facebook at spillingthetealeaves.com. And you can always email us at spillingthetealeaves@gmail.com. Again, my name is Michelle. I'm a Crystal Reiki Master. You can find me at Remember Love, or you can find me online at rememberlovehealing.com. Rachel?
Yes, and I am Rachel, the Cockroach Wrangler. You can find me. You can find me on Instagram at Cottage on Wolf Lane. I am an animal intuitive, and I want to hear all your insect stories. Just DM me. I love it.
Don't DM me. No pictures. If you want to send me pictures of crystals, I'll take them, but I don't want pictures of your cockroaches. Okay? All right. Well, I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and we will see you next time. Bye.